Americans be upset about documents found in a garage?
That's for the American people to decide.
Are you upset that you came out to this podium on Friday with incomplete and inaccurate information? And are you concerned that it affects your credibility up here?
Why is it the matter of this White House counsel to deal with documents from 2 administrations ago? Why is this White House counsel involved in this matter at all?
Again, this is something for the White House counsel to address.
6 times that turned out to be false. Are you sorry about that?
I'll see you tomorrow.
That is just that was James Rosen,
yeah.
Newsmax White House correspondent, right? So he asked a question. She literally ended the briefing yesterday. That's how rough a week it has been for White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre. She seems uninformed and now totally unwilling to answer any questions that she's getting from the media. The big difference is these questions are not the typical softballs that she's used to.
Yeah, for more on this, let's welcome in the managing editor of Newsbusters, Curtis Houck. Curtis, thanks for joining us. So Karine Jean-Pierre dodging these questions from the media, but as Rob said, this is a little different for her because she's getting tough questions. She's ignoring both the legal and political elements of this case. How much longer can she stonewall the press here?
Well, fortunately, from what I saw from some of the broadcast networks this morning, they were starting to move on from the Biden documents. But yesterday, I referred to it in a post at Newsbusters. If you guys, any viewers or you guys remember that book, Alexander and the No Good, Horrible, Very Bad Day, like that was exactly kind of what Karine Jean-Pierre went through yesterday. And the thing about her is she makes basic questions from reporters feel like hardballs. And that's just really, that's how you can tell that she's really bad at her job. Some of these questions, did she know? When did you know about it? And the question at the end with Stephen Portnoy, there from CBS News, about why did the White House in their first call, or the president's counsel, call the West Wing? It's, classified documents are such a big deal, as we heard with the Mar-a-Lago case. Why didn't you drop everything and call, the National Archives or the FBI? So there's still a lot of questions yet to be answered, and we hope, obviously the House will definitely get to it, but maybe the special counsel will as well.
Yeah, you wrote a Newsbusters. I thought this was fascinating. So basically throwing Joe Biden overboard, could that be part of what's going on right now? The White House press corps eviscerates KJP in a wild briefing. Could some of this be about 2024 and the Democrats kind of saying, hey, we don't want another 4 years of Joe Biden, so let's get him out, or let's pave the way for somebody to primary Joe Biden, like maybe Gavin Newsom? Could that be part of what's going on here?
Oh, definitely. A number of people have pointed that out. Friends of mine, Lisa Booth, Jesse Kelly, among others, have really pointed this out, that it's definitely a possibility. I think, going at the end after the midterms, I think probably a lot of Democrats were actually ready to roll with Joe Biden again. But they saw what happened here with these classified documents, and they realized this is our out. This is an opportunity. This is an opportunity because you have that, and you have what's going on with Hunter Biden. So you have 2 different tracks going that you could blunt Joe Biden with and just say, you know what, between that and the third point, his age, it's just enough. It's time to go, Joe.
Yeah, a great point. NBC claiming Democrats are growing frustrated with the White House's response to this story. It surprised me how tough questions they were giving Karine Jean-Pierre. But as you mentioned, Curtis, how long can that last? This morning, I looked at a lot of the websites of the media, didn't see this front and center. So I wonder, is this just going to slowly fizzle away?
Right. I definitely think that's a possibility. We saw this with Afghanistan as well. The media were extremely tough on Jen Psaki and President Biden about Afghanistan, and rightfully so. Again, the press were definitely doing their jobs. And so for us at Newsbusters, that really helps us make the argument that, yes, the media aren't just completely inept and clueless a lot of the time. They are capable of doing their jobs. They're capable of asking tough questions. They're capable of knowing what's important to the American people and what is a news story. So when they don't do it on issues like the Twitter files, for example, it makes it all the more infuriating because we know what they're capable of and what they can do when they actually want to be real journalists.
Right. And we're seeing it now. So Newsbusters, you've been reporting on this really since last Monday. Some of the other media now finally starting to pick this up. Politico yesterday with this fawning, glowing piece on Kamala Harris, how she was the real winner of the midterms back in November. About 30 seconds, Curtis. Do you think Joe Biden is primaried, or do you think that he, announces that he's not going to run in 2024? Could that actually happen? Are we closer to that now?
I think him being primaried is definitely closer than him just completely pulling out of this. I think with the way things went with the midterms and the way Jill Biden is so invested in being first lady that she's willing to keep up this charade, as long as she can. Gavin Newsom, he's the kind of guy you look at him and you're like, is he really going to say no to this?
Right.
Yeah.
Is he really going to say no?
Yeah, it's a good point. Curtis Houck, we'll do it again soon. Thanks so much for coming back on. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Hey guys, it's Rob Carson. Your retirement funds are being threatened with even more losses from record inflation, recession, and skyrocketing interest rates. Fortunately, the highly trained specialists at American Hartford Gold can show you how to protect your savings and retirement accounts by diversifying your portfolio with physical gold and silver. If you call them right now as a special offer, they will give you a free gold coin on your first qualifying order, so don't wait. Call 866-935-4309. That's 866-935-4309, or text Newsmax to 65532. That's Newsmax to 65532.